tutorial on how to do blow drying basics. We're going to achieve a really nice, soft, silky, volumized blow dry. I'm going to take you through everything. We're going to start from wet. What we'll be using is a Parlex hairdryer with the nozzle. I'll be using a big round brush with ball bristles, wooden preferably. You'll need a sectioning clip, and I'll be using just a very light mousse, just at the roots for a tiny bit of control. But that's it. So really the only styling product there is the mousse. The moisturizers are not styling products. They finish off the cleansing, but we do this when the hair has been towel dried. So let me help you achieve great hair with these steps. Stay with me and let me take you through blow drying basics. We are going to start with some blow drying basics, and we're going to get this under our belt before we start getting creative with what you can do with a hairdryer and brush. After towel drying your hair and you're out of the shower, you've used hopefully already your leave-in moisturizer and sprayed that through. If it's a cream you prefer, a cream can be used. A couple of pumps in the palm, rub through, focusing mostly mid-lengths to ends. For blow drying basics, we're going to use a little bit of support in the form of some mousse. Just a gentle hold, just for the root area mostly. I like to start with what I can actually hold in my hand without losing it and it going everywhere. So you pat that down, get rid of the puffiness there, and then it will become quite clear, and you rub that through your hands. And then, like shampooing, just get through the scalp area, and where your hands land will be that far from the roots anyway, which is the area we want to make sure we cover. Not too much through the ends of the hair. We just want a little bit of support. So keep in mind, this is blow drying basics. Get the basics right, and then we can get creative from that point. So we're ready, we're prepped, and we're good to go. No parting. We don't want to start with our hair parting. We'll deal with that later. So we're going to start by drying this off to 80% dry, if not 100% dry. So off we go. We're going to focus through the roots and dry this all off. You ready? Let's do it. Soft, fluffy, normal. This is how anyone's going to look, if not maybe even a little fluffier for some hair textures, and it's all fine. Now, if you didn't know this already, if you dry your hair off on a medium heat, as opposed to the hottest temperature your hairdryer would go, it will in fact dry faster. The other thing I was doing was not drying too apart. I was flicking this across, back and forth. So we've dried it off. We're going to start, the next tip I have for you, we're going to start this blow drying from the front, not from the back, because it is tiring. Blow drying takes a lot of effort and energy, and honestly, a lot of the time we use it all by starting at the back, and our arms are fatigued and we're tired and we've lost the motivation to finish the front, or we realize we're running late and we're out the door, and again, we're not happy with the result. So let's put all your good energy that you start with at the front. Let's put it where we're going to see the results first and foremost. And whatever we've got in reserve, we can use in the back, and that's going to be more than fine. So you do want to set yourself up with clip, the brush you're going to use, and of course your hairdryer. Make sure that's all ready to go, and we'll get started. And I'm going to ask you to start with 2 fingers, your index finger on either side, from where the natural receding part of the hairline is. Just come just below, all right? So not right in the dip, just below it on either side, and scoop your fingers back till they touch, and just section that hair away. So that's just out the way. And this is what we're going to focus on first. We're going to do the sides. We're going to begin here. Section, we're going to halve that again. So just divide the half that you've got, or the section you've got, and clip away the other piece. But we're going to keep it about just smoothing the hair out, because if you can get all these techniques under your belt, then you can get creative. We can start turning the brush and creating waves and all kinds of different things. But let's get the basics of what blow drying is to achieve what you're after with control of the hair, smoothness, remove the fluffiness, and gain control. So positioning your brush in your hair is where we want to get right next. We want to try and keep this as straight, or even slightly elevated if you want to, as possible. And even extend it out from the head a little bit, then allows us to get the hairdryer heat through here and get a really nice lift and root lift through the sides. Now we are going to use full heat for this. We do the dry off on medium, full heat for styling. mousse we put in is just a very gentle hold, but it's just going to help support the shape you're after. Now you can see a consistent, nice big arch coming through there, almost a C shape, with beautiful volume coming from the roots. I wouldn't go running your hands through it, leave it alone, and we'll move straight into the next piece above it. So unclip the next piece. So now we have our second piece. It's easy to pick up and find because one is very smooth and controlled and the other's going to be fluffy. If you get a little bit, if some of what you just blow dried ends up being pulled up, it doesn't matter, it's fine. So long as it's not the whole piece again, because we want to get each section done nice and cleanly. Again, position your brush however is best for you. So if you want, just use both hands, get it in there. Make sure your section doesn't exceed the width of your brush, or the length of your brush I should say, that section stays within it with a little bit of the brush on either end, so that way we're not going to have any trouble with knots or tangling, and you're going to have really much better control. And then I'm just going to stretch that out and get nice height through here. So we're going to concentrate on getting that part set and dried and smoothed, and then we're going to follow through. Notice how I'm not necessarily rolling the brush back up again. You can roll it back up, but I pretty much just let the hair fall on the top of this brush all the way through without necessarily rolling the ends. It will naturally take that shape of tucking under. You don't have to give it extra time and energy performing that way. The brush being round is already going to give you that shape. So don't stress about getting the tuck. Really concentrate on what you're doing from the roots, getting the grip through with the brush and the hair around it. Follow through and slow and steady, and you will get there faster, trust me. So even though I've got the hairdryer moving in the direction the hair is going, I just let it keep going right to the end, and then I just gently release it. And you can see it will just naturally tuck under that way. And look how smooth, compressed and volumized that is. See the difference? It's pretty incredible. And it is that simple. But we're not done. So we're going to start on this side now. So we're going to take that section that's left out, halve it over. Your brush still stays in the same hand. Now you're going to use the other hand to wrap it through, bring it back in, and then we're just going to glide it back. Well, you know what? I can't glide that out. You know why? I've gone past the length of my brush. So there you go. We're going to take a little bit off the end at this point. So I've just narrowed it down a bit. That's going to make all the difference. So get the hair wrapped around the brush again, roll it back in, slide, easily slides out now. And I have that nice height through here. So let's start from that point. Now I have got a lot of new hairs growing through here, which is interrupting a little bit of the fluency I can see. So what I'm going to do is just give it one more go over and go nice and slow and allow those little hairs to push through, compress through the brush, and then compress into the longer hairs, just so that neatens up a little bit more. It's better. And that's it. We don't have to go over it too many times because the hair is dry. All we're doing now is reshaping and controlling how we want the hair to be finished and polished off. So remember, you're going to have to remove some of that off the back because we don't want to go wider than the length of the brush. All right, so we're just going to gather. If you want, tip your head down, gather the fluffier bits off the smoother pieces. And it doesn't matter if you do end up collecting a little bit of what you've just blow dried, it's totally fine. Again, make sure you're positioning your brush nicely into the roots with nice grip. Bring it out, roll it all back in, and you can see some of my new hairs there. We're going to push them down. Just going to bring that out a little bit more. You'll always find that one side of your head that you're blow drying will be easier to get the hairdryer into, and then the other side's a little bit more pressed against the head. That is normal as well. If you need to, pull that out a little bit more so you can get the hairdryer in a lot more easily. Don't drop your arm. Make sure you can see the hair sitting either out straight or even slightly elevated higher than that. You can see this is sitting a little higher, and that's because it's warm, so it still has a lot more bounce to it. But as the hair cools, it will drop, and this is why you don't want to touch. You don't want to encourage that to fall because it's going to fall anyway. All right, so now we're getting to the section I asked you to pin up and out the way. We're going to go to just above the receding point there, and we're going to do a section on either side. So I asked you to take the section, what we clipped up was just below. This time we're just going to come above it. And we're going to do one more on either side. And we'll clip this middle part out the way again. All right, so we're going to do either side, same thing. So gather the hair, place it in there. When you place it in, hold it up already. So you're already in that position, so it's nice and easy to get the brush in. If you hold your hair like this and then you try to bring the brush in, you're going to gather everything else you've just done. And honestly, this is something I see everybody do. So it's just learning what to look at and where to hold your section. So pick up that piece again and hold that section well and truly away so we've got more than enough room to get the brush in there. Roll it if you want to at the roots for those little new hairs that might just pop out. You don't just want to push it in and have them all kink. We want to smooth them. We want to gather them and smooth it out around the brush. And that's how rolling the brush will do that. So I'm still holding this up. Can you see? I'm just going to roll the brush at that point. Now you can pull it right out, roll it back in and get your grip and hold there. Or if you prefer, place it in, make sure the grip is there, and we cannot worry about the ends just for the minute. Now this section we're doing now, you're going to have the most little hairs within it. So bits will drop away as you're blow drying. Just let that happen. Don't lose where you're going with the rest of the hair. Don't let your eye come back to the bits that are dropping out and feel like you have to keep chasing it, starting again. Keep going with the hairs that are longer. Come back, grab the whole section again and repeat that up to 3 times, 4 if you need to. But it will be finer, it will be a little bit more fly away. But once you then let that sit back over the pieces you've already done, you'll see that that starts to look just nice and thick and full. So gather the bits we haven't done yet. That's not too wide this time. Don't hold it too low and then come in and then gather all this. We don't want to do that. We want to keep our sections neat and tidy. Make sure we've got the height we need, and we're just going to follow through hairdryer nozzle moving from behind the hair in the way the hair grows. You're doing well. So our middle section. So I'm going to take the front section and I'm going to blow it all the way forward this way. Same thing, get the brush in, smooth the hair over, prepare yourself, prepare the hair, and we're going to blow dry forward. So it's still warm, but I can't see you. So I'm just going to take a diagonal section just so that I'm not doing the whole width because it's not going to fit my brush. So I'm going to take that and blow dry this forward. And then I'm going to take another section diagonal over that and blow dry it this way. So we've got our pieces crossing this way. And I reckon I could do one more that I could comfortably bring forward. I'm still picking this up. We still want to keep the roots nice and high. So we're going to start there. I'm going to turn around for you. Going quite far back at this point. I'm bringing it forward, but I'm not twisting and uncomfortable. I'm still keeping myself straight, quite simply holding the hairdryer slightly behind me, but bringing everything forward so that I'm not stretching or twisting or trying to get it to go this way. Just bringing it all forward nice and comfortably. And look what you've done. The front. Now, before we move on to any further, this is a really important step. The hair where you've just finished is still going to be quite warm. I want you to change your setting to cool. Let it run through the nozzle for a couple of seconds because that'll be still warm and we want the air to be as cool as possible. And we're going to blast this with cold air. Focus on the roots, much like we were doing when we were drying the hair off. Just go from one side to another, not necessarily let it blow dry and flatten to a part, and just cool everything down. Honestly, cooling the hair down at the end is the best part. One, it'll cool you down. So if you're feeling really hot and overwhelmed from what you've just done, you're going to cool your body temperature down, which will be a win because you don't want to sweat and undo everything we've just blow dried. So, depending on where you want your hair to then sit, you can bring it back to that part. You're going to have beautiful lift and roundness, unless of course you don't want that, you can change it up. But height is always going to be the hardest things to achieve. It will settle, it will compress, particularly when you go to bed that night, you're going to get a bit more compression. But what you won't lose is the silkiness and the smoothness and the compression we got from that blow dry. This is what we've ended up with. A really simple, smooth, well covered basics of blow drying. Quite simply bring the front forward. Again, it doesn't matter if you pick up some bits you've already done. In fact, crossing over a little bit never hurts. It means we don't miss anything. I always section by kind of bringing two fingers together and joining them and then gathering it all in one hand and bring the rest down from the back. And you'll clip that just forward and up high. Now, it is hard to see the back. Now, unless you're greatly set up with mirrors everywhere, but sometimes that can also confuse you depending how good you are at being able to flip that around in your mind. I would just simply follow the rules we've just gone through and just feel your way through the blow dry at the back. Everything on this side, you can blow dry it slightly forward so you can see it from the front. Stretch it still out, but we're kind of doing it in a way that we can see from the front. I'm going to grab the next back section half. Don't rush. If you start rushing, if you start doing this, you're not going to get anywhere. You'll dry it off, but you won't have control and you won't have the blow dry that you're after. So, next section. Again, so I've got all this here. I'm going to pop my finger about this point. So I'll do the same on this side, join it together. I'm just going to gather the hair that's sitting fluffier on top. Make sure it's not, doesn't feel wider than the length of the brush. Set yourself up. Hold your section high, get the brush in, smooth it out, roll it back. Have a nice height from the roots. Don't drop your arm, keep it up. And if you feel it's going to be too hard to get the hairdryer in here, slide your brush out a little bit, hold it firm there, and we're going to blow dry through here first. Easy. And then the other side, blow dry. Because we're lifting it up high, dry straight up this way. So again, it's actually in front of you. Now I'll grab this piece, get myself set up. Last section, actually no, I think I'd like to make that 2. So I'm just going to divide that top piece into 2. Now you can choose to blow dry it back from here, or you can bring it a little bit more to the front on the side, just so it's more comfortable. And Once you've finished that last top section, again, we're going to set your hairdryer to a cool. Let it run through a little bit just as the nozzle cools down a little bit. We're going to blast everything. Now, I always suggest that you would keep cooling that down until you feel cool and comfortable. If it takes you a bit longer, keep going. The cold air will not undo, upset, or ruin anything you've just done with your blow drying. And now you're just going to give your hair a shake and decide where you want that hair to sit for your day. But we have a nice, beautifully controlled, finished, polished look. Let's do the full turnaround, huh? Okay, I think we all did a really good job. You should be really proud of yourself. There we go. So you're going to see some great results. Keep it simple. Start at the front. Baby steps. Take your time. You'll get there. You'll love your results. So for today's tutorial on blow drying basics, I use the large round wooden ball bristled brush. I sell these on my online shop. I have them in stock if you're interested and you want to even marry it up with a really beautiful leave-in moisturizer or possibly a light mousse. Let me know. I'll put a package together for you and I'll send you a little treat with it as well. So, but online shop, everything I use in my tutorials, I have available. You can get it through me. I look forward to seeing you again shortly. Take care, stay well, subscribe, like this video, send me comments or anything else you need help with. Can't wait to see you again soon. Bye-bye. Back and forth. And the other part about drying your hair off, maybe you're wondering why dry it off and not start from wet. Drying from wet is going to take you quite a long time. And the reason why a lot of home styling blow dries don't go well is that hair actually wasn't blow dried to 100% dry, even using a brush and hairdryer. Hair was still left damp. It might have looked dry and the result might have looked like what you were after in those first moments of finishing, but then give it an hour or even less in some cases and your hair has started to change, expand, become fluffy or frizzy again. And the reason for that, most of the time, in fact 99% of the time, is that your hair was not properly dried. So we're going to remove that as a problem by starting with most of that water all gone. So I say 80% to 100% dry. Even if I said to you dry off to 100%, I bet you there's still going to be a bit of dampness in there for most people. So this is all fine. We're just going to reshape and all our focus has to be is the actual smoothing and creating the shape that we're after, as opposed to also worrying about is the hair 100% dry. So this is what's going to help you get a win and see the result a lot faster. And if you haven't had the best results from blow drying and you haven't found it has lasted long enough for you, then already by these tips I've given you, you should see more longevity from your styling. This is just a starting point. So you can even get more than what I'm showing you this time, but we want to get the basics right. All right. Make sure your section doesn't exceed the width of your brush, or the length of your brush, I should say. That section stays within it with a little bit of the brush on either end, so that way we're not going to have any trouble with knots or tangling, and you're going to have really much better control. Bring it back in, and then we're just going to glide it back. Well, you know what? I can't glide that out. You know why? I've gone past the length of my brush. So there you go. We're going to take a little bit off the end at this point. Place it in there. When you place it in, hold it up already. So you're already in that position. So it's nice and easy to get the brush in. If you hold your hair like this and then you try to bring the brush in, you're going to gather everything else you've just done. And honestly, this is something I see everybody do. So it's just learning what to look at and where to hold your section. So pick up that piece again.